Mitchell has his head up, takes a look for feet. Oh, my! Donovan! Get that weak stuff out of here!
Welcome to the Junkyard Pod, hosted by Tony Pesta and Jackson Flickinger. You can find all of our work for Fear the Sword and Write Down Euclid in the description below. And if you want to be in our Twitter group chat, all you have to do is subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. Send me proof, and I'll get you added. But Jackson, we have good news and bad news today. What do you want to start with?
We'll start with the good news because I don't think the bad news is that bad. I mean, who cares about the All-Star game anyways?
Fair enough. The good news is the Cavaliers won a shootout with the Sacramento Kings, beating them 136-110. The Cavs extended their win streak to a league best 6 straight wins. All the while, they have the best record in the league since their season ended in mid-December. They have taken second place in the Eastern Conference, and all in all, the Cavs are playing lights out basketball. Jackson, what did you see from them against the Kings?
I think we've said this a decent amount over the last month, but I think this was their best win of this entire stretch just because of the issues that the Kings present to them. We've been talking about some of these issues since last year. The Cavs have struggled to defend the three-point line. They struggle against teams that can space them out. They struggle against teams that take advantage of their size on both the offensive and defensive side. And the Cavs, maybe for the first time against a team like this, showed that they have the benefits of a small backcourt and a large front court. Mobley, when you had Mobley and Allen both out there, I thought Mobley did a great job of really just attacking the paint against smaller guys like Harrison Barnes. Then when you just had one of those guys out there, they were able to really space the floor. And the Cavs did a better job at the Kings game than the Kings did. They were the ones who were spreading the floor, making it hard to defend. They were the ones who were pushing the action. And that's not something that we've seen against a team like this before, where usually last year in a game like this, the Cavs would have tried to slow the tempo. They would have made the other team play their game. And last year we saw that they weren't able to do that. That's one of the things that I think is most impressive, that the Cavs can win in a variety of ways. And that's not something that we knew, or at least I think that was still an open question prior to this game.
That is a great point. It's exactly what I wanted to focus on too, because you said this was maybe their best win of this entire stretch, and I think I might agree with that too. We talked about the Clippers game recently and how when you compare the Clippers game and this Kings game to their beatdown of the Bucks when they beat them by like 40, that was a night where the Bucks just clearly didn't have it. They were out of it from the start. In the Clippers game and this, no Giannis, the energy was all bad. They fired the coach basically immediately after. But in the Clippers and the Kings game, both of those, like the Clippers gave them a very good game. The Kings played a very good game in this one, and the Cavs were able to still pull out and win by 26 points. I mean, the most impressive thing to me was that this game started off kind of going shot for shot with the Kings playing their style, playing that fast tempo game that we really wouldn't see the Cavs play last season. If they got into that game, it was like getting out of hand and it was getting away from them. Really, the Cavs weren't a team that could win those shootouts. And this one, they were going shot for shot with the Kings, and they were beating them pretty handily after the first quarter. They stayed in the lead for most of it. And then in the fourth quarter, they managed to buckle down and hold the Kings to just 18 points. So this was really, I think I have to agree. I think this was the best game that we've seen from the Cavs, because especially when you compare it to that first game with the Kings, where that really was one of the worst ways to lose, because kind of in a similar to what I was just saying, it wasn't the Cavs just didn't have it that night. It was, hey, this Kings team is exposing all of our flaws and we just have we have no way to beat it. And it's crazy the difference that just a couple months can make for this team.
And I think it's really interesting that Kings game was Darius Garland's worst game. I believe that was his 7 or 8 turnover game. And that was, all right, we're going to try to play faster. We're going to try to get up more threes. And it was just, when you watch that game, you realize that the Cavs had a lot of work to do before they could play that style. And then you see them on Monday, and it looks like, wow, this is a team that has one of the best offenses in the entire league. They're able to have shooters at every position. Donovan Mitchell's just getting downhill. Jarrett Allen and Mobley are just attacking mismatches. And when, there are doubles and stuff, they're able to kick out to shooters. Mobley led the team in assists. Like this was everything that you wanted to see the Cavs do. And they did it for 48 minutes against a very good team, not the best team, because I think, the Clippers were a much better team. But for the Cavs style, this is the type of team that has given them the most trouble. Like this team, the Thunder, those Western Conference teams that can go small and have shooters at every position and everyone can pass and dribble.
Yeah, this is one of the first times we've seen the Cavs be able to match that style and beat it. And then again, in that fourth quarter, kind of bring it back to their identity and stop the Kings. It's such an impressive game. The Cavs scored 136 points in this game. It's their second highest scoring game of the season. Jackson, I want you to guess, how many times did they score 136 or more last year?
Once.
It was once, and Donovan Mitchell had 71 of those points. So it went into overtime, and Mitchell had a game for the ages in order to
accounted for 98 of those points with assists. So that's so that tells the whole story. They've done it twice already this year, and another stat to pull. They hit 23 threes in this game. It's the fifth time this season that they've made 20 or more, and I believe they only did that twice all of last year. So the Cavaliers offense is just completely different than it was a year ago. It makes sense. The process looks better. JB has been in his bag. Maybe it's not JB drawing up these plays, but I've been trying to highlight them on Twitter. The way they're using Sam Merrill, the way they're screening and layering their actions, it's just night and day difference from how they played last year, where most of it kind of fell on Garland or Mitchell to create something. Now it just seems like more of a team effort. Yeah, there's so much more movement, and I think having Max Strus in that starting lineup really helps. A lot of the time where they would get stagnant last year, it was either Levert or Okoro kind of standing in the corner and not really doing a whole lot. And last game against the Kings, you saw Darius moving a lot when he didn't have the ball. Definitely when he was playing with Mitchell, you saw that. So there's just so many things that the Cavs are doing on that end that's really impressive. And they're also not giving up anything defensively. Like they're not a worse defensive team now that they're playing guys like Merrill some minutes. They're playing Max Strus instead of Isaac Okoro. So that's what I think is most impressive. And I think that goes to really that starting lineup that the Cavs ran for most of the end of December and January. That unit is just anchoring those second quarter and fourth quarter lineups where you just put out Wade, Okoro, Strus, Allen, and Mitchell, and they're just dominating teams on both ends. It's just really impressive, and there's just no let up in these rotations. It's just 48 minutes of great basketball.
Yeah, Wade was so good again last night, especially just that point of attack defense, helping to slow down De'Aaron Fox, who had 19 points on 8 of 20 shooting. Okoro played a big role in that too. And just to point out, too, the Kings did hit 17 threes. They shot 38%, but it was way different from that first game where they're they're shooting. It's a 3-point contest. They were just wide open. The Cavs were actually contesting a lot of these shots to a good degree, I would say. And the Kings they're just that good of a team that they're still going to have a good night, even when you play good defense. But I do want to focus on Max Strus a little bit because he had a much needed 3-point shooting game there. He had 6 of 10 3-pointers for 22 points. He had a couple plays that he's just becoming known for where he just out hustles everyone else. He stole the ball from Sabonis twice and managed to get some points out of that. So I think heading into this game, Strus was shooting 33% on the season from behind the 3-point line. He's bumped that up to 34.3, probably off of this game alone. So this is the variance that comes with Max Strus. He's a very streaky shooter, but you see it on a night like against the Kings where he just is red hot from the start and he hits 6 threes, and it really helps put you over the top.
So one thing you see from Strus that I think a natural comparison point is Cedi Osman, where when Cedi Osman would have a 6 for 10 game, you look at the plus minus and you say, oh, he's plus 20. Yeah, he was hitting his shots. And if you look at the plus minus from the Kings game, Max Strus was plus 20. But the difference between Max Strus and someone like Cedi Osman is Max Strus is very good at basketball, even when he does have those 2 for 10 games from 3, where he's able to provide so much more. He's just a really smart basketball player on both sides of the court, and he's really an underrated passer and somebody who can really add additional playmaking, and that's really important when you have two bigs like Allen and Mobley. And his movement and just ability to affect the game in different ways has just made him so valuable for the team. If you look at all the on-off numbers, it's just Max Strus is just right up there, just right behind Donovan Mitchell. So games like this where he's hitting all of his outside shots, he's going to look better, but he's really been good all season. So when people complain about Max Strus or say Merrill should get minutes over him, or why isn't Lillard or Okoro starting, it's because Max Strus provides so much more than just his shooting. And then when his shooting's going down, he just looks amazing.
Absolutely. And to highlight that, if you even just look at his last few games before the Kings game, he was shooting 31% in this little 4-game sample size. And in those games, he's a +10, +5, +13, +11. He's just an all-around impactful player, whether it's his defense, his rebounding, I think has been very helpful. We talked a whole bunch about how last year so much of the pressure was just entirely on Mobley or Allen to grab the rebound, especially once Kevin Love was gone. They didn't really have a team effort on the glass. And Max Strus is a guy who's just chasing after those balls and really making a big difference in that department, I think.
And one thing that he can do is he can comfortably guard 2s and 3s, and depending on the matchup, he can do 4s as well, which really provides a different element to this team that we didn't have last year, where the Cavs didn't have the option to really go small. Obviously, Wade playing real basketball now helps, but so does Max Strus. He gives them if teams go small, you can put Max Strus at the 4 with Isaac Okoro, and that's a unit that really works. You can play him at the 2. You can play him at the 3. So that's what Max Strus provides, that when we talk about someone like Cedi Osman, who was streaky, he couldn't provide that. He couldn't guard 2s. He couldn't really guard 3s well, but he definitely couldn't be a 4. So this is what Max Strus provides. This is why he's been so impactful for this team, because like Cedi, he's a really good off-ball player, but he does everything else that Cedi couldn't do.
Yeah, so much of Cedi's potential minutes last year really just fell on is he making shots or not.
Right.
Whereas with Strus, you can ride out those cold stretches because you know he's going to give you other things. And then when he does get hot and he has those streaky moments, you have a night like against the Kings where it really just puts your entire team on a different level.
And I promise I didn't come into today planning on talking about Cedi for 10 minutes, but here
it was long overdue.
Right, yeah.
And a little sneak preview for today's later episode, which will probably be coming out tomorrow. Jackson won't be here for it, but I do have a Cedi Osman topic planned. So the Cedi content is coming, everybody. I know you've been asking for it, and we hear you.
Yeah, I wish I had my Cedi Tumblr here. That would have been great for the for the YouTube audience, but next time.
Any other takes on the Kings game before we get into the bad news here?
At a certain point, we're going to have to talk about how good the Cavs are and how much we believe in their playoff chances. And I think a team like the Kings just exposes all the things that kind of hindered them in the playoffs last year. And then
that you'd be worried about.
Right. And then a game like this just kind of shows you how far they've come, where they're not just not getting beat in those areas, they're actually excelling. Like when you think about last year, the starting 5 was okay, but every bench unit just got destroyed. Well, now that's not happening. They can't rebound when you space them out. Well, they can. They can't shoot. They can't win a shootout. They can't play faster. So it's just, we said before the season that nothing the Cavs can do during the regular season is going to get rid of what happened last spring. And that's still true, but every game that they're putting together like this just shows that they aren't the same team. We shouldn't expect them to have those same issues. Now, maybe they do, or maybe they're not as good as they're showing during this stretch, but we're going to have a conversation about them about how good they are. Are they a team that can win a first round, win a second round? How far can they go? That's a real conversation, and it wasn't last month.
Definitely. It's the entire perspective of this team has changed, and in their win against the Kings, that's the type of win that we just didn't see last season. They didn't have these offensive explosions unless it was Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland really carrying them. I think you had the weird Knicks game where like Love and Dean Wade just shot the lights out. But other than that, they didn't really have these like team effort wins that we've seen so many times already this year. So it's really encouraging. And I think the conversation does need to shift from how disappointing they were last year to what they might be able to do this year in the playoffs.
Yeah. 7 guys in double figures, and it wasn't something like, wow, they just got an unreal performance from bench player X that you don't expect. Like, it wasn't, Sam Merrill didn't score 28 points off the bench, and you're like, well, that's why they won. It's like,
he had 9, so they almost had 8 players in double figures.
Right, yeah. And like, it's just, we're not. Isaac Okoro is being really impactful, and you're not noticing him on the offensive end in the way that you did before, where it's like before when he was out there, you'd say, why is this guy not doing anything? Why is this guy why is Joel Embiid guarding him, but he's actually on the other corner of the court because he just doesn't care. And you're just not seeing anything like that from anybody in these bench units. And that's just really encouraging.
Now let's move into the bad news. Jarrett Allen will officially not be taking part in All-Star Weekend. It's not a surprise that he didn't make the initial round of reserves.
Someone else could get hurt.
It's true. It's always possible. He could sneak in there.
Donovan Mitchell could do the right thing and bow out.
Which he should have done and force Sam Merrill to take part. We really have 3 pieces of bad news here if we want to just break down all of it. Jarrett Allen will not be in the All-Star game. We'll get into that. JB Bickerstaff probably should be the coach for the All-Star team, but it's going to be Doc Rivers instead, which we'll get into that. And then lastly, it sounds like – so was it confirmed? Like, did Sam Merrill get invited and just chose not to play, or was Donovan Mitchell just kind of being funny?
So Donovan Mitchell, because I asked him 3 times, he said that Sam Merrill didn't want to do it. So I wasn't given confirmation if Sam Merrill was asked to or was given the opportunity to, but – I was told that Sam did not want to do it. So, he said, because he's like, Sam's been asked about it 2 or 3 times, and he's always said, I don't really want to do it. I want to play golf. And he said that he's never been in a 3-point competition before. So I think there was some nervousness about that element too. So I can't say that he was asked, but I know that I can say that Sam did not want to do it and would not do it.
He's a humble king. He didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Right. And I don't remember if you made this joke on air last time or if you said it after the pod, but Sam's not really a great, he's not, the 3-point contest would be a little weird for him. He'd have to kind of run from rack to rack and get these in motion shots. And so, maybe it's just better off that he saves it for in the game.
I would have really liked to see him participate. I think as someone who absolutely loves golf, I'd say that the 3-point competition is a much better platform than, getting a couple rounds in during the winter. Cause we have X golf. You can go inside and play golf. We have Top Golf. Top Golf sucks. So don't go to Top Golf. Top Golf's for losers like Tony.
Wow. There goes our Top Golf sponsorship that I had lined up, Jackson.
Well,
so I'll have to get to work on finding another one now.
But yeah, so Sam didn't want to do the 3-point contest. So
yeah, it's fair enough. He broke all of our hearts. It would have been great to see him up there, but let's talk about Jarrett Allen because he, like I said, I wasn't surprised that he didn't make the initial round of reserves. While he was definitely worthy of it, there's just other guys who were more deserving. But with Joel Embiid and Julius Randle both injured and set to miss the All-Star game, there was a chance that Allen would be selected as a reserve, an injury replacement. That didn't happen. The NBA's chosen Trae Young and Scotty Barnes to participate. Now, look, I'm not going to hate on either Young or Barnes. I think they're worthy in their own right. But just to highlight what Allen has been doing since mid-December, Allen is averaging basically 20 points, 13 rebounds on the best team in the NBA during that stretch. And with the Cavs officially moving into second place in the East and how well they've been playing and just kind of the history of all-star teams honoring and respecting team success, it's a bit of a disappointment that Allen didn't make it, considering Trae Young, the Atlanta Hawks, are 10th in the East, and Scotty Barnes, the Raptors, are 12th in the Eastern Conference. So it really feels like the Cavs maybe should have gotten a little extra love and attention for how well they've been playing and how pivotal Allen has been to that. But What are your thoughts on Allen not making the All-Star game?
I'm not surprised, just because the center position is, especially a center like Jarrett Allen, when there's a league of exciting centers like Jokic and Embiid, that someone like Jarrett Allen, who's the traditional rim running center, is just not going to get the love that he probably deserves. Even somebody like Bam is somebody who's, I think we would say, is a modern center, where they're really versatile and they can guard, you're not going to ask Bam to guard one, but he's comfortable switching out on the perimeter. He fits the idea of what you want your center to be. Whereas Jarrett Allen is still a traditional center. Like, he does a lot of modern things, but he's still a rim running center. And I think that's just a hard archetype to get people excited about, especially on a team like the Cavs that, like, let's face it, people don't watch the Cavs that much. Even people who are paid to watch and talk about basketball don't watch the Cavs that much. They don't. And when they do watch or talk about the Cavs, they say, hey, I think the Cavs should trade Donovan Mitchell to the Lakers for nothing, because that's what teams like the Cavs should do. So I'm not really surprised. Is he more deserving than Scotty Barnes? Absolutely. I think what Jarrett Allen has going against him, Scotty Barnes has going for him, where Scotty Barnes fits the modern idea of what you want an NBA player to be, where they're versatile, they can pass, dribble, shoot, they can guard multiple positions, they have good height and wingspan. Like, he just fits that mold. So it's easy to just say, like, look at him and say, oh, this guy deserves to be an all-star. He's an all-star like player. Whereas Jarrett Allen doesn't really fit that mold the same way. So I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed, because even though he had a rough first month and a half, he's been so good recently. And Mitchell is the reason why this team has been as good as it has been. But if you wanted a 1A or a 1B reason why, that's Jarrett Allen.
Yeah, none of this would have been possible without the contributions Allen has made. So I think from the perspective of just making like the most entertaining All-Star game, Trae Young and Scotty Barnes are probably better options there. So you kind of understand why they make it ahead of Allen. But in terms of deserving it,
watching Trae Young play. People come up to me on the street all the time and say, I just love watching Trae Young play. He's
That's
great.
Fair. That's fair. But if you're thinking just like a high scoring, gonna shoot threes, throw lobs, Trae Young's understandable. I'm not even too mad at the Trae Young
pick. Catch the lobs.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where Allen would have been a better pick. But
what can Scotty Barnes do?
Scotty Barnes has snubbed another Cavs big man. Twice he's done it to us, so it's very unfortunate.
And the best part is that he only got the Rookie of the Year award because the Raptors won like 4 more games than the Cavs.
Yeah.
And now
you gotta love
the Cavs are winning 10 times more than the Raptors.
It's one of the unfortunate things about like the All-Star game and the awards in general, is that it just feels like we decide on a whim whether or not we're going to value team success. Like, there was the year 2015 when the Hawks had 4 All-Stars, I believe. It was Jeff T, Kyle Korver, Millsap, and Horford. It's like, I don't know. I mean, people were making the push for Derek White and Porzingis, but you didn't really see any of the similar push for Allen. So it is what it is. I think the bigger issue that a lot of people have talked about already is just that they probably need to expand the All-Star teams. There should be more than, it's 12 players right now.
There should be
5
disagree. All-Stars. No.
There's only 5 All-Stars.
The problem with expanding it is that everyone's going to need minutes and everyone's going to need run.
Well, so here's my solution. I don't know who edited my Fear of the Sword story, if it was you or Chris, or if it's just sitting there still. Did you edit it?
I did not edit it.
Okay, so then you'll be hearing this for the first time then.
Breaking news.
I don't think I came up with this either, just to be clear, but I think they just switched to the tournament style. Just put 4 teams of 7 All-Stars. You play 4 games, a championship. They've done it for the Rising Stars. The G League is doing it. Why not? Sucks. I don't think it was ever good though. So like that's.
But the rookie sophomore game at least had a chance of being good because you had clear identified he's a rookie. That's why he's on the rookie team. He's a sophomore. That's why he's on the sophomore team. Not like try to explain to your parents why you should be rooting for Team Reggie Miller for the Rising Stars game. And try to do it in like under 30 seconds. And that's, that's if you can't do it in 30 seconds, if you can't explain it to your parents in 30 seconds, then it's not something that the league should be doing. Like, hey,
that's how those decisions are getting made.
they have all of the rookies, like all the best rookies are playing all the best sophomores. So first year guys against second year guys. Player X is a first year guy. Cool, that makes sense.
Like, that is a good way of putting it, honestly. See, my thinking with the tournament style, though, just to try and back up my argument for a second here, really the All-Star game every year, it's 3/4 of no one really trying, and in the last couple minutes, they start to really dig in, and it becomes a game. If you turn that into 4 games of just 2 teams in a tournament-style format, I think maybe you get more of that. You think it'll just be 3 games of don't
that's what the Rising Stars game is. Did you watch the Rising Stars game last year?
I don't think I actually watched last year's, but I did watch the one in Cleveland.
I
did watch the one in Cleveland, though.
They don't play. No, like it would be cool to have Jarrett Allen at the All-Star game because I think he really does. He's been so impactful. I don't think you can find 12 more guys in the Eastern Conference that have been more impactful to winning. And that's just, if this team didn't have Jarrett Allen and they had, say, I don't know, some replacement level rim running center, that's okay. They're nowhere near this position that they are in. So it's just been, he's been so impactful to this team, and it's a shame that he won't be there.
I agree 100%. And with that being said, that's going to do it for this episode of the Junkyard Pod. I want to thank everyone for watching and listening. Again, all of our work for Fear of the Sword and Write Down Euclid is in the description below. And if you want to be in our Twitter group chat, all you have to do is subscribe and send me proof, and I will get you added. But for now, go Cavs.
I agree. Go Cavs. Brian, how are you fixing the Rising Stars game?